Hello everyone and welcome to Ancient History GCSE course overview. I will be explaining in this short video about why you should study ancient history. I would like first though to say thank you for watching the video that was included in the folder for ancient history, which is a more interactive way of getting familiar with the actual content and the things that we'll be doing. So my first point is, before I go through the specification, is I wanted to tackle some questions that all students and parents are asking me. Why you should study and choose ancient history. Obviously, I'm quite biased on this subject, but I will try my hardest to be objective. But the most important thing is to help you to make an informed decision and make sure you know what you are getting into. So, why ancient history? The first reason is to choose ancient history is because it's really interesting, it's hilarious, very funny, and it gives you the chance to look at things that you wouldn't normally do. So you get to study the ancient world and all the colorful characters with their little stories that they go with. And but it's interesting, unlike a lot of other courses you do, because you get to study the kind of different peoples and different places. So you study people like Cleopatra, Alexander the Great. There are all these different mischievous stories behind them, and we get the chance to look at the source material, which is completely different to anything that you have probably looked at before, and it's definitely fun for me. Now, how is different to history? I mean, this subject would be is part of the bucket of geography and modern history. And how it's different to modern history is there is no much difference apart from the period that we study. Ancient history is still history. And however, in ancient history, you have a bit of a mixture of English literature, let's say, and a bit of history, because we don't have a lot of surviving material. We have to rely on archaeology as well, and we need to fill up the gaps. And it's very important to understand that by looking at the ancient literature, we'll be able to get some more critical thinking about it. The thing is about ancient history that makes it even more interesting is that the sources are written more like a story or a narrative, in contrast with modern history that is more about looking at documents, photographs. There is more emphasis on the historical sources. When ancient writers had the habit of embellishing things, that's why they're making the story more engaging by adding all these weird things about myths, divine intervention. Now, another question that I've been asked is why it is relevant. It is easy for people to just dismiss ancient history. This is a fact, but also it's a rarity to find this subject in a state sector. It's something that stands out. It was a long time ago, people might think actually that it's something that happened a long time ago, the world moved on, and nobody cares anymore. But what you will find is the problem is that human race is really bad at learning from past mistakes. And what you will find is a lot of the mistakes we are still making right now happened 2,000 years ago. Look at some of the kind of corruption of power we have today. In addition to that, it's very relevant because it's very academic subject, which obviously is great if you're planning on doing other academic type essay-based subjects at A-level. So it is something that shows that you've got the abilities and the skills to transfer them to other subjects. And this one is something that any employer or university will be looking out for. Things that you'll be able to do with ancient history in terms of future career is, apart from working in a museum, that probably is the one that you might have guessed as well, is that because of the knowledge and skill you have gained, you are able to work in politics. And you find a lot of politicians they've got degrees in ancient history. Other aspects is law, journalism, research, or even a teacher. And obviously something that employers and universities coming from a state sector, is something that would be stand out for you. Another thing is that another question that I've been asked by parents and students, is that harder than history? I wouldn't say it's harder, but there are parts of it, if I'm being honest, there are parts of it which might be more challenging. It is the amount of sources mainly that actually can be a bit daunting for students that we have to cover and the material of the ancient history that we need to do in comparison to modern history. Because we don't have a lot of surviving material and archaeology is very minimal as well, we have to read a lot in order to come to accurate and reliable conclusions. So that's the main questions that students usually ask. So another thing that I would like to go through is the specification. There are the period studies and the depth studies. For the very first year, students will be in year 10. They will be having 2 hours and 50 minutes. From September to February, we're going to be studying the Persian Empire, which all the 4 kings actually. If you are, because I'm going through this quickly, you're going to be able to see this video again and see about the different kings. From February to June, when you're year 10, we're going to be doing Alexander the Great. And in year 11, from September to December, we're going to be doing the foundations of Rome. And from January to Easter, Cleopatra. And then we're going to have some time for revision. The books that we recommend the students to get is the OCR books that they are endorsed by the OCR exam board, and it's Persia and Greece and Rome. They're going to be very, very useful for them to use. In terms of the content now, I'm going to go quickly through that. We have the Cyrus the Great for the Persian paper and the year 10s. We have Cambyses, Darius the Great, and Xerxes. The books that I ask the students to read during summer is the Persian Fire or the Persians. The left side is more student friendly, and I suggest you to read it. The Foundations of Rome now, we do about the legendary kings, about Romulus and Remus, and about the Republic, which is a fascinating period as well. And then again, as I said, with the Persians, you have books that you can buy like Mary Beard, SPQR. The type of questions in the exam paper, you're going to have some factual questions, but also question 3 and 4, you're going to be using a source that would be given to you and you will need to evaluate it. And in question 5 is the essay type question. The depth studies now, we have the Greece depth study and the Rome depth study. As I mentioned before, we chose Alexander the Great for Greece and Cleopatra for Rome. And the difference between depth study and period study is that the depth study is a shorter time spans, but greater depth of detail, and you are actually looking at the authors and how reliable they are. Some examples of this is this one. You can see the picture of the mosaic that survived, and we're able to make references and trying to fill up the gaps looking at these pictures. And the same structure that we have on the period study more or less is the same for the depth study, that we need to include some more reliability. For any further questions, please email me. My name is Mr. Iacovo Pantelis. You can find my email on the website, and I'm more than happy to answer any other questions. As you can see, and I'm sure you have got the booklet as well, so it can give you more details, but it's things that ancient history is a subject that cannot be found easily in state sector. We're going to be doing stories about the 300 Spartans, the Battle of Marathon, the Battle of Salamis, Remus and Romulus, Cleopatra, and Alexander the Great. Great personalities. So I strongly recommend you. I know I could be biased on that, but I strongly recommend you, if you are willing to get into the world of the ancients, to choose ancient history. Thank you very much.